BPod Studios.
This is Charlie McAvoy.
One down, lined up, and just leveled by McAvoy out at center ice.
On your home for Bruins hockey, 98.5, The Sports Hub.
It's the all-new Dodger and Hardy.
Whatever, man.
On 98.5, The Sports Hub.
Hey, we're Dutcher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Now Kansas City has won a Super Bowl, and I'm sure we'll have a long time to get to where this puts them in. Because you know Brady and Belichick were rooting for the 49ers very hard last night. But here's another thing going into this draft that you have to be wary of. That the Patriots have the third pick in the draft, and there's a lot of, you heard guys like Lifshitz, just this and Middleton and all these people screaming that you don't take a quarterback at 3. Look at the failure rate of taking a quarterback at 3. You got to build the team, and you got to build this team. And who had the better team last night?
San Francisco by far had the better team last night.
Okay, so this means that Mahomes won that game with an entirely inferior team, and certainly entirely inferior offense. The 49ers have arguably the best left tackle of all time. They have arguably the best offensive player outside of a quarterback position in Christian McCaffrey. They have a loaded receiving core. They have one of the best tight ends in football. They have everything that you could possibly ever need, but Mahomes won that game because he's a quarterback. So this is, if you're a Patriots fan, no team, and they have Shanahan as their coach, no team is going to be more set up to win without an all-star quarterback. And Purdy played okay. So, he didn't make any big mistakes. He missed a couple guys in the end zone. But he didn't turn the ball over. Yeah. And so
it happened the first time these two teams played also. Jimmy Garoppolo against Patrick Mahomes. And Garoppolo crapped himself in the fourth quarter because that's what Jimmy Garoppolo does. Patrick Mahomes did not, and he won the game.
And so Purdy didn't even crap himself last night. No. And Mahomes still won. And you knew the whole time. You knew.
Second the 49ers kicked that field goal, and I knew Patrick Mahomes was getting the ball back. I'm like, oh, he's going to go down the field and win this game.
Right, and just like when they held the 49ers to a field goal, and in Kansas City got the ball back, you were like, all right, well, Kansas City's going to come back, and this is going to at least go into overtime.
The other thing to think about is how involved in the offense was Travis Kelce for the first 3 quarters.
Well, in the first half, he had 1 catch, and I think he had 1 yard.
It was one catch for 1 yard.
And Mahomes was still in the game because he's Mahomes.
Right. So
and that's the thing.
So this whole idea of building a team is the 49ers really couldn't have much of a better team. Just outside the quarterback position. And their quarterback didn't even play poorly. Yeah. And the inferior team with the all-time quarterback still won that game. So I'm telling you, if you still think Marvin Harrison is going to be the difference between winning a Super Bowl and not winning the Super Bowl, I got news for you. You need someone to throw him the ball. You could have 5 You could draft Marvin Harrison 4 times. 4 times in the same draft. And for 10 years have 4 Marvin Harrisons on the field and not win a Super Bowl. You draft Patrick Mahomes and you have a decent head coach, you're winning Super Bowls.
Take a look at Kansas City. Kansas City, I was reading this somewhere, had the second lowest scoring offense for a Super Bowl winner in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
They average under 22 points a game, and they just won the Super Bowl because they have that guy.
They turned the ball over yesterday. Their defense wasn't great. They made dumb mistakes on defense. They didn't play the perfect game, but they have an all-world quarterback, and that's the difference. That's all.
So take a quarterback, and you keep taking quarterbacks until you find a guy you can use.
Right, and there's, by the way, there's no, and Lockhart can probably speak to this. There's the talent conceivably at the quarterback position in next year's draft is terrible. Yep. So
I was reading that over the weekend. That's true. In fact, this year they're flush. Next year, not nearly as good. At least that's what it looks like.
You can in the 40, and you want to take a tackle, and you need a tackle and a left tackle in the NFL, and that's very true. But again, the 49ers have maybe the best left tackle of all time. And he made a couple mistakes last night, too.
It is kind of disheartening, though, because you think, okay, it doesn't have to be a top 3 pick. You can get Brock Purdy somewhere in the draft, and you can have a really good season. You can make it to the Super Bowl, but it was put under the microscope last night. As good as he is not quite good enough. You need that elite-level quarterback. You need a handful of guys if you want to be able to win it all. Now, if your only goal is to compete and make the playoffs and have winning football seasons, fine. You can do that with any number of quarterbacks. But to get to that level again, this league has become one that requires a top-tier, top 3 in the league quarterback. And without that guy, you're not going to win.
All right, so you take Harrison.
You're not going to win at all.
You take Harrison, you take Brock Bowers, you take any of these guys. San Francisco wins in that game with Ayuk, Samuel, Kittle. Kansas City, Hardman, who, again, for the Jets this season, the team he played for the vast majority of the season, had 1 catch. He had 3 catches yesterday for 57 yards in the game winner.
But
Justin Watson, Rashee Rice, Isaiah Pacheco, Noah Gray, Marcus Valdez-Scantling. By the way, Marcus Valdez-Scantling is not going to be on that team next year. Kadarius Toney.
And he caught a touchdown pass last night.
Well, he did a lot of things last night. He ran backwards in overtime, too.
That was unfortunate.
Yeah. When you have a 7-yard gain and then you decide to just
that into a 4-yard loss.
You might not see that again. You might not see that again at the NFL level.
But, Fred,
go ahead.
I don't want you to downplay Mecole Hardman as being a guy that wasn't utilized properly, especially last night. He was so dialed in. He knew exactly what was going on. He knew exactly what needed to be done. It was very zen-like. He was so in the moment.
Hey, Mecole Hardman, you scored the Super Bowl winning touchdown, man. Yeah. What does that feel like?
Man, it feels great. I'm telling you, I blacked out when I caught the ball, though. So, but it feels awesome.
He went on to say he didn't know what happened. He didn't realize the game was over. He didn't understand what had happened until he saw Patrick Mahomes running over toward him.
Yeah.
I just got here. He threw me the ball. I caught it. But I'm bum.
Yeah, he blacked out. He blacked out.
Why?
He didn't know what was happening.
Because Patrick Mahomes threw him the ball.
Right.
Patrick Mahomes was running and picking up first downs. Patrick Mahomes, they were running plays. They ran specifically on that 3rd and 1, a play that they hadn't run all season long. They saved it for the Super Bowl. And it was like, oh, look at that huge gap up the middle with Kelce drawing coverage and drawing the linebacker away from the spot where I'm going to get killed if I were to run up there during the regular season. No, we're going to try that in the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes.
Mecole Hardman was cut by the New York Jets in that anemic offense, who, by the way, have a great young receiver in Garrett Wilson and no one to throw him the football. For those of you who want to take Marvin Harrison.
That's the thing you point at first.
But I'm telling you, Mecole Hardman, who was cut by the Jets, was the Super Bowl hero last night because of Patrick Mahomes. If you take Marvin Harrison in that draft and build through
he becomes Garrett Wilson.
You are out of your mind.
He becomes Garrett Wilson.
You could line up Marvin Harrison 3 times at receiver and lose to Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. It just is not. It's a position that it's great to have talent on, but it's obviously not necessary to win a Super Bowl because you just saw it. Kadarius Toney did not play in the game. He was not active for that game. And going into this season, he was supposed to be a big shot for them. Go ahead, John.
And just get back to what you're talking about, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick watching that game, especially Brady. I would bet anything he's sitting in front of his TV set or in whatever suite he's in, actively rooting for San Francisco to beat Kansas City because he doesn't want Mahomes to approach him. Mahomes is halfway there. Now, if the only way for Mahomes to truly beat Brady is he has to win 8 Super Bowls instead of 7 because Brady beat him in a Super Bowl. So if they're even, that's the tiebreaker. But Mahomes is on his way. I feel the same about this guy that I felt about Brady when he was playing. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what the circumstances is. That guy can win any game. any game he's involved with, regardless of what the rosters look like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's certainly a debate now. There's a debate. Now, he's won more. He's, at 28, he's a better quarterback at 28 probably than Brady was at 28.
He's got 3, and he's almost halfway there, and he's done it in 5 years. And again, I never thought we'd see another Brady, but this kid, he's at least in the conversation.
Well, Kansas City's got apparently the youngest aggregate defensive by age in the NFL, so that's going to get better.
As long as they keep that defense together, as long as the defense is decent to keep that kid in games.
All right, well, so anyway, so they're young, so chances, so they're coming back. So that's my point. Second of all, their receiving core, I just told you, they're not going to have Kadarius Toney or Valdez-Scantling on the team next year, and just by that, they're going to be better. So Kansas City, by all measurables, is probably going to be better next year. Their offensive line will be healthier than it was in the Super Bowl. They're going to be better.
The only transition will be as we continue to move along, and Mahomes has, a decade left at least in his career. When Travis Kelce retires, can he win it with somebody else?
Well,
that's the only difference.
Yeah, but the idea is that they will – I'm going to imagine they just completely go all in on the receiver position. So you lose Kelce, but I don't know, have a receiver – like literally a receiver.
All you need is one with this kid.
A kid that doesn't run backwards, or a kid that doesn't line up off sides, or a kid. I mean, Mecole Hardman was cut by the New York Jets this season and won the Super Bowl for you last night. Well, in a blackout, apparently. I mean,
it feels great. I'm telling you, I blacked out when I caught the ball, though.
How could the Jets have cut that guy? I mean, I'm telling you. All right, when we come back, it was people love the commercials. I can tell you a story about when I was at a Super Bowl party and I was admonished for talking during them. People love commercials. They can't get enough of them. And Hardy has made a collection, including, yes, I've gotten your emails and Instagram messages. I saw it as well. And I thought it was for Wikifeet.
Chronologically, it was the first one that I made note of for the night, but I think we have to do that one last.
Yeah.
Because if we do that one first,
well, I mean, if we did
we're not doing any other.
I literally got 20 emails, 20 Instagram messages going, did you think what I thought? And the answer is yes. I thought it was for Wikifeet. And of all the great things that Jesus did and brought to the table, I mean, we're focusing on washing the feet. It's a very specific thing in the Bible. And I'm a man who studied the Bible, my friend. They took the washing the feet thing.
You and Scott Zolak.
Oh yeah, Scotty's he stands up for the.
He claims to have only read one book in his life, and that is the Bible.
And he understood every inch of it.
Yes,
every line of it. It reads just like the paper. All right, we'll be right back.
BackstageCountry.com, your online home for all things country music. Lainey Wilson is on a roll. She's delivering great music and teaming up with some of country's hottest acts. Text Lainey to 45911 to see which 4 Lainey Wilson collabs have us talking at BackstageCountry.com. Text Lainey to 45911 to get a link to the list sent right to your phone from BackstageCountry.com.
On the air, online, on the air. This is how Boston sports fans start their day. Dutcher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
In the definition of big fish, small pond, Eric Stone Street, the fat gay guy from Modern Family, celebrating in the Kansas City Chiefs locker room last night with the team. I mean, that is, you're not getting that if you're like a Giants-Jets fan. Maybe if you're a Jets fan, but certainly not I will say this. New England, for the amount of lack of celebrity that sometimes shows up to like Celtics games and stuff in terms of other major cities. Mm-hmm. Eric Stone Street, if he's from here, not getting into the Patriots locker room.
I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think.
No,
it's
there's
him
too
and
much.
Paul Rudd, right? Those are the two.
Well, Paul Rudd is from Kansas City. No, Paul Rudd might be from St. Louis. No, he's from Kansas City?
Yeah, he's a huge Chiefs fan. Yeah.
All right, so him and Stone Street.
Those are the only two I can think of.
Sudeikis, I think, is from Kansas or something. So maybe that counts. All right, but Hardy, everyone loves the commercials. One time, I was in Atlanta, Georgia. I was a young man. I was in my early 20s, and I was watching. I just remember Denver was in it. It was a Denver Broncos Super Bowl, and we were at a party, and I was with my best friend, and I started talking in conversational tone, nothing in particular, and I was told to shut up, and I went, "Oh, why?" And they go, "It's the commercials." And I go, "Yeah, that's why I'm talking." And the guy goes, "What do you do for a living?" And I go, "Well, I work in radio." And he goes, "It would be like if someone talked while the DJ was talking on the radio." And I would be like, "Oh, so life." What happened is that these people they all went to a school called Creative Circus. They were all wannabe ad men.
Oh.
And this was they needed to see what was happening because they would be unavailable. They would never be played again. The Super Bowl ads they go into I mean, it was before the internet really. So, but they just dissolve into dust. They never to be played again. But Hardy, it was a night for the stars.
It truly was, Fred. And we'll start with one that I need some explanation on. If somebody can tell me what this was all about, because I saw it twice, I still don't know.
The best way to bring folks together
Something has changed within
is to give them a real good enemy.
You're green. Don't be afraid.
I'm not afraid. It's the wizard who should be afraid of me.
So this is a Wizard of Oz thing? What is this?
What are we looking at? What are we looking at? That commercial. I heard Paul Giamatti.
This used to be wasn't this like a Broadway show, Wicked?
I don't know.
I think it was. Broadway show,
know.
Wicked.
My daughter saw Wicked in New York City.
Yep.
Like a big girl.
I mean, it sounds familiar. So this is a Wizard of Oz Broadway show that they are turning into a movie.
Correct.
Okay. All right. That's all I needed.
All right.
I'm not going to watch it. Now, this one I will watch. You talk about unveiling of the movies during the Super Bowl. This, all in.
Tyler Owens calls himself a tornado wrangler.
If you feel it, Jason! I said if you feel it, Jason! All right, here we go.
Twisters is the name of the movie. See, the first one was just Twister.
So many unanswered questions.
Well,
I mean, are you going to get your hand on green or not? Is this just an excuse to put the keys in the punch bowl and kind of divide it a little bit better? I mean, are we doing it by dexterity? You know what I do when it's a swinging game of Twister is the first guy to get out.
No.
The girl that wins.
Fred.
They copulate.
Different type of Twister. These are tornadoes.
Yeah. It's a tornado of bodies in the pit that I have.
There's no pit in this one.
There's no conversation pit. There's no rumpus room. This is everything from the F1 to the F5, the finger of God, which we learned in the original Twister. Thank you, Philip Seymour Hoffman and Cameron.
No, it's your friend with the least attractive parents' favorite activity to do. It's the Wolf family in Farmington Hills when you said, I wouldn't have sex with either of them. But here they are. This is apparently the people that do it.
I don't know how they're going to recapture the magic of the original Twister when you had the Dread Pirate Wesley from The Princess Bride playing the bad
Carrie
guy.
Elwes.
Yeah, he's just in it for the money.
Yeah.
Went and got himself some corporate sponsors.
And now you can't bring him back. He died. Spoiler alert, died at the end of the last one.
Oh, that's right.
I've never seen the movie Twister.
And you can't bring Bill Paxton back.
That's right.
He's dead. He's as dead as they come.
Maybe Helen Hunt with a cameo.
I think Helen Hunt could make a cameo, and I think she should.
Maybe it's just
Aunt May.
Maybe it's Helen Hunt and Reiser. There's an undercurrent.
You know what? Good point. Reiser's free. He's not working.
Wow, he does a lot of indie comedy. He really does for some reason.
Okay.
All I know is that during that Twisters commercial, two of them, and they yelled twins, which in a game of Twister would also be very exciting. But in this case, it's two funnel clouds spotted at the same time. That's how you know it's a sequel. Wow. Not just one tornado, two tornadoes at once.
Plural.
I love playing two-hand touch, eating way too much, watching my team win. with the twins.
That was when Budweiser was exploring every man's fantasy of incest. All right, what else?
Tom Brady.
Well, this is all conversation until the big one, but go ahead.
I'm putting it on.
Yeah, we're just trudging along until we get to the big one. Go ahead, Tom Brady.
Tom Brady in a BetMGM commercial that went on forever.
BetMGM is for everyone that loves sports betting. Everyone. But Tom Brady.
What did I do?
The truth is you've won too much, Tommy. Let others have their turn.
What if I bet in-game parlays and I'm not Tom Brady?
You're in. All right, very good. They get enough advertising.
I bet the money line, but
All right, it's too much. That aired early in the Super
Yes.
Bowl. I was in conversation.
Good to see Vince Vaughn appear occasionally.
I'm not giving it to you yet, Fred, because there's something that happened with Duncan. It happened last week when they released kind of like a teaser for what their Super Bowl commercial was going to be. Last night was the payoff.
I don't think you should do this. Last year she came to my work. Now I got to show her what I can do.
he's here.
Affleck on the track.
What up, Bronx?
So Ben Affleck comes into the recording studio where J-Lo is already there, and he's going to lay down some tracks.
For your consideration, here comes the Boston Massacre. The Dumb Kings. Touchdown Tommy on them keys. Play a couple.
Once again, Tom Brady making a cameo in a commercial.
Got it.
I'm open. And needs no introduction, my partner.
Sometimes it's really hard to be your friend.
And that is Matt Damon, who is not happy to be there, part of the Dung Kings.
You gonna support me?
Dumb Kings! Don't go away. My heart. Why you dunking me, girl? Why you dunking? Dumb Kings! My heart.
How do you like them donuts? I'm so sorry.
You had to see it, but I forgive you. Lay us on the track.
Are we going to be on the album?
We talked about this.
Let's go. You're blinded by them pinstripes.
Wrap it up.
Here goes Babe Ruth.
Tom, you can stay.
All right, so two things of note in that commercial. Number one, a good line from Matt Damon, a funny line where he says, how do you like them donuts?
Right.
Instead of apples. But the fact that Ben Affleck is about to be cucked at the very end of the commercial when J-Lo tells Tom Brady he can stay. So she's already getting ready to better deal herself.
Yeah.
Move up from Affleck to Tom Brady.
But, I mean, it's you like brains or brawn at that point. I mean, it's two hunks. Do you like the guy that can direct the hell out of a film, or do you like the guy who can direct the hell out of a comeback?
Either way, J-Lo is making no illusions about her affinity and affection toward Tom Brady, ready to move on from Ben Affleck.
That's where you and John probably butt heads, is that John is obviously a big J-Lo guy because she might have lost a little bit too much weight during her postmenopausal years for John's liking, but that would assume that that's not that's of no interest to you.
I didn't care anything about J-Lo until I saw her in a Super Bowl post-game party performance. It was the one in Minnesota, in Minneapolis. And the Patriots had lost, so it's like kind of a weird vibe around there anyway. And then J-Lo went on stage, and everybody started feeling good again. I refigured out some things in my life, just as a man, watching her perform.
I am just...
I like it.
You're on my side of the fence?
I liked it.
How about that?
Yeah, not too much up top. Not enough to distract Hardy.
That's a good point.
Yeah, she was facing the audience the whole time.
So it's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, and she was sweaty and like not overly feminine at the time. Like Hardy was enjoying.
I didn't think that. Yeah.
All right, but then came the real one. So there's a billionaire, and he goes, "I got $1 billion."
Yeah.
And they go, "What do you want to do?" And he goes, "I want to spread love and peace.
Sure.
I want to." These great ancient ideals.
I've got means.
And they go, well, how do you want to do it? He goes, well, I'm going to run commercials during the Super Bowl when everyone's watching. And they go, well, what is the man you're talking about? He's like, Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. And they say, well, what do you want to focus on?
What?
And he goes,
which of his many messages?
Which of his many messages do you want to focus on? And he
Judge
goes,
not, lest ye be judged. That's a good one. No, I'm thinking this.
Don't ask me, but you know it's true. Don't have to tell you.
Audio-wise, it really doesn't do it justice. Fred, you want to describe it?
It's okay. So it is just a montage of people, like real people, washing other people, touching other people's feet, and there's no Jesus thing until the end, and it looks like an ad for Wikifeet. So the whole time it's airing, I'm thinking this like has got like a little bit of like fundamental Christianity to it, but this could be an ad for Wikifeet. Like, Quentin Tarantino was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. Really beautiful feet.
So this it is essentially taking the Bible and all of the Judeo-Christian ethics and all the messages of Jesus Christ and distilling them into, we all love feet. Let's wash them.
Is it okay to touch them again?
Is it okay if I wash them? Of all, you could pick up the Bible, you could read the Bible 75 times and not walk away with washed feet. But someone knows where the bread is buttered, my friend, and that's buttered with 10 toes.
Feet.
That guy, he goes like, he's like, how do we put the message of Jesus in something that is going to excite John Q. Public?
Fondling women's feet.
And they just said feet. Shove a foot in there. So now, obviously, on Sunday, you're going to go to church. It's going to be packed. It's going to be like Christmas Eve. And they're going to be like, when do we get to the feet stuff? Like, why does everyone have their shoes on? It's going to be a very disappointed audience. I wonder if there's ministers feeling pressure everywhere to at least wear open-toed shoes.
Okay. Oh, you don't have to put your feet in. You can leave them out.
At what point does the fondling begin? At what point where's the tub? There's a wafer, there's the wine, where's the feet?
DA really likes feet, foot-tastic.
I was an acolyte in the Methodist Church for 5 years. Before that, I was in a choir for 5 years. So I probably went to Methodist services. I don't know if I just missed out. But I went to Methodist services, baptized Episcopalian, Methodist services. So for 10 years that I recall. So say I was in church 350 times. Never one time, never once did we wash each other's feet. Or did anyone wash anyone's feet?
I love feet.
But this, ladies and gentlemen, and say you're not into the Bible. What is it? Is the lowest you can go washing feet?
Yeah.
Is that as low, really?
Fondling women's feet.
Is that really as low? Please, you're not even scratching the surface.
The only time
That's a gift from my mistress.
The only time I ever heard of it is like in a book. I think it's To Kill a Mockingbird. They talk about foot washing Baptists.
Oh yeah, like that's snake handling.
Literally like old school religious stuff. And to think that commercial, because what's the point of the commercial, Fred?
It's
to get people to start thinking about Jesus and
Yes.
Christianity and maybe go back to church. This is how you're going to get, middle America watching the Super Bowl. It's like, hey, I know how we'll get people on board with this. We'll show a bunch of, people like us watching the football, washing the bare feet of some other people that they don't like. And that will get them on board with what we're doing.
I'm not seeing that.
But they said Jesus, he lowered himself to wash feet. There's so much more you could be doing.
Is it okay to touch them again?
Yes, of course you can touch feet.
Mm-hmm.
But what are we going to use me as your receptacle?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Please.
They are beautiful.
Sure, washing feet, yes. Okay, that's the appetizer, but dessert is, you bury me.
DA really likes feet, foot-tastic.
That was Super Bowl Media Day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So congratulations to the billionaire that bought the Jesus commercials, because you got my attention, and that's what I walked away with. I can't make heads or tails of what happened in that Dunkin' commercial, but Boston loves it. I know Fat Joe was in it for no reason, and he was stuck in the middle of Little Italy.
Yeah. I was like, what the hell is
Stuck
he
in the
doing?
middle of Little Italy. Oh, that was Fat Joe. but you know what I'm saying. Big pun. But Fat Joe was on the track. You know what I'm talking. You know the track I'm talking about?
Yes.
Stuck in the middle of Little Italy.
Yeah, ever since he found Joe, then a lot of women want to do things. Just really can't paraphrase the lyrics anymore.
Washing feet, that's where it's at.
I love love those feet.
Yeah, Crash
love those
texted me and
feet.
he's like, why is porn on? And it's like, it's not porn.
Mm-hmm.
It's a group that fundamental Christians are not for porn. That is, like, seriously, like, why don't they just have a guy handling snakes? Because that's lower. I mean, you're taking... I got to tell you, I've been to church maybe 400 times in my life, 500 times in my life. Never one time I had to take classes in school because when I was a brief time, I was an English major with the Bible. I don't know the feet stuff.
Really beautiful feet.
I know, Rex. Then they had to get religion involved, and now it makes it even sexier. All right. We shall return. We can start talking about Kansas City. People very upset. Kansas City won this Super Bowl. Again, what it means for you in the draft and so much more.
BackstageCountry.com, your online home for all things country music. Country music has so many generous artists who always seem to jump in to help those in need. We're spotlighting 5 who lead by example and lend a helping hand to charitable causes. See who made our list when you text GIVE to 45911. Text GIVE to 45911 and read all about it right now on BackstageCountry.com.
Toucher, Hardy.
You get used to sitting back and letting Daddy drive the car.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. This hour of the Sports Hub brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. And Michelle is in South Carolina.
Hi, guys. Hi, Fred.
Oh, hi,
Michelle.
Hardy, I miss you.
Well, I miss you, too. I'm glad you called in. What's going on?
Are you one of these psychos that makes Hardy food that he shoves down his throat despite the fact that it's probably poisoned?
I don't make them food. I used to send them food with poison.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Very cool. I would expect nothing less.
She would order Uber Eats for us and sent us Christmas gifts.
Like what, Michelle? Your nails?
No.
No.
I've actually I've worn. She sent clothes like golf shirts and pullovers, like nice stuff.
And she's full, and she followed you to the mornings.
Yes.
All right. Well, Michelle, you wanted to talk to Hardy. I will not interrupt. Go ahead, Michelle.
No, Fred, you can butt in, but I have I'm a little shocked about San Fran because I feel like they gave the game away. Not with like the missed point after, which was a little shocking, but in the fourth quarter they did not prepare at all for Kelce, which was a shock because he really did nothing the first 3. And they should have known that with the game on the line, that's where they were going. I mean, anybody in the world called that. But previous to that, I think it was in the third quarter when they were in the red zone and they got called for those 2 offensive penalties that moved them back twice. And then they had to go for a field goal there instead of maybe getting a touchdown. We don't know if they would have scored, but, I mean, they could have, and then that would have put them up. I don't know what the score would have been, but it would have put them up maybe 10.
All right. Well, Michelle, one thing that I've learned is that is you have picked up that South Carolina accent quicker than anyone I've ever seen in my entire life. I can tell that. I don't know how you became a Patriot fan or listen to Sports Talk Radio. It's obviously you have no history here. But you are right. Whatever you were saying.
Say hi to Jill for me.
Right. Michelle was making the point that San Francisco lost the game rather than Kansas City winning.
I mean, they didn't hand it over to the Chiefs like the Lions handed the game to San Francisco. That is handing someone the game.
By the way, the Lions don't beat the Chiefs in that game.
No, because they don't have Patrick Mahomes.
Exactly. And that's what, again, if you're a Patriots fan, that the whole argument of drafting Marvin Harrison with the 3rd overall pick is ludicrous. Now, you could trade the pick and trade down if you don't like Daniels or May and you think that you can get a quarterback later. But the idea that you're not walking out of that 1st or 2nd round with the quarterback and you got, because you need an elite quarterback to win, and no team is going to be better than that San Francisco team without the quarterback. So the whole idea of building the team. Well, Fred, Mahomes came to Kansas City when they were already kind of fully put together. That's fine, maybe for the first Super Bowl. But Mahomes won that Super Bowl by himself last night. Mahomes won that Super Bowl. The defense played pretty well, but Mahomes won that Super Bowl. They won that Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback of the 49ers. 49ers win the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes won that Super Bowl. He's the MVP of the Super Bowl. He's the reason they won.
Patrick Mahomes, a quarterback of the Detroit Lions. Patrick Mahomes, a quarterback of just pick a team, the Dallas Cowboys.
Patrick Mahomes,
anybody.
the quarterback of the New York Jets.
Yes.
The Jets win that Super Bowl. Or there's a very good chance the Jets win that Super Bowl.
So you take a quarterback and you keep taking quarterbacks until you find one.
Exactly. You do not. I don't care because, again, you could line up. You could draft Marvin Harrison 3 times in the same draft. You could have an offense that has 3 Marvin Harrisons and lose the Super Bowl to Patrick Mahomes. There's no question about it. I mean, the difference between San Francisco's offense, they've, again, arguably the best left tackle of all time. That's a premium position. They have the best skill position player in football in Christian McCaffrey. They have 2 stud wide receivers. They have one of the best tight ends in football. They all pro tight end.
A great defense.
They have a great defense. No, but I'm talking about specifically their offense.
Okay.
Their offense is insane at every position except for quarterback, and Purdy did not play poorly last night. If you want to win Super Bowls, build something, a dynasty I'm talking about. So, right, this isn't you have a really good team, and now we're just going to get Cousins or we're going to get something and try to, like, luck into a Super Bowl, like the situation the Jets are in. Like, you're just trying to luck into one Super Bowl. If you're looking to build something and build any kind of success, you're going to need a very special quarterback.
The other part of it is there are 2 things here. First of all, the Jets have a chance because they also have a special quarterback. Aaron Rodgers, when his head's screwed on straight and he's healthy, can be one of those guys. But the other part of it is the argument against drafting a quarterback this year. You're saying, well, you know what? Mahomes is once in a lifetime. Boy, did they luck out. They didn't get him until pick 10, 11, 12, whatever it was. They were fortunate. That's not the point here. The point here is quarterback is the most important thing. That's what you look for first. Even so, what if this guy, if it's the Jaden Daniels or Drake May turns out not to be the guy? I'm not going to bang the Patriots for that. You got to get the quarterback and build around him. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But that's what you should be looking at. Don't get cute and don't overthink it.
And by the way, you're going to suck next year, and we can have Lockhart. Lockhart, get on a microphone if you would. Dan, put Lockhart on a microphone. Jesus Christ, Dan.
No, but it makes
2025 draft.
Yes, thank you.
Who are there any quarterbacks?
I don't know. I'm sure there are, yes.
No, there's not. Shador Sanders.
Wrong answer.
Shador Sanders. No, but do you think? But it's not supposed to be a good quarterback draft in 2025.
I don't know. This was supposed to be a great quarterback class. It's not so much. So who knows?
All right. Well, I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
2025 not supposed to be a great quarterback draft. I mean, you're talking about Shador Sanders.
A kid from Penn State's apparently pretty good. I'm just looking at it now as we're talking.
Right.
Apparently, the kid Drew Alter from Penn State. I've never heard of him.
All right.
But apparently he's a Shador Sanders.
Well, Penn State also played every game. All their games were 14-10, so I don't know how good he is.
That kid Quinn Ewers from Texas who was supposed to come out and stayed in. These are the quarterbacks I'm seeing.
So anyway, if you don't take a quarterback this year, who are you taking next year is my point.
Well, Lockhart says there's a few, but he said no. Let's bring in the guy who follows the draft. Hey, there's no quarterbacks next year. Oh, there's a few. No, there's not.
But
he said, I don't know. There could be a few.
The other part of it
he didn't really answer it. I think I took him by surprise.
The answer here is if you luck into a top 3 pick or a top 2 pick, and there are quarterbacks there to be taken, you take them. They're probably, now, as bad as this roster looks, they're probably not going to have the 3rd overall pick next year. It's going to be lower. So if you are at the top of the draft,
but by the way, going into this draft, you knew Caleb Williams, you knew Drake May, you knew that going in. Jaden Daniels was a kid who shone out of nowhere, but you knew about them. You knew Bo Nix was in this draft. You knew who J.J. McCarthy was. There were names that were in this that you knew going into this season.
Multiple
names, and
yes,
that is not the
yes.
case next season. I understand that I shot Mike down, but my point remains. My point remains. You're going to have to get a quarterback at some time. You know who's in this draft. The belief is there could be a kid that shines next season. You never know. There could be a kid that
have a pick that's this good.
But you might not have a pick that's this good, and there probably won't be this much talent at the top of the draft at the quarterback position. I would assume next year, I'll say this, I would assume next year 3 quarterbacks won't be candidates to get taken in the top 3. That I can tell you, because we'd at least know 2 of them. And you knew Drake May and Caleb Williams. You knew Caleb Williams was going number 1 before the season started. It would have taken something catastrophic for him not to be the number 1 overall pick. Danny, go ahead.
Hey, Fred.
Yeah, baby.
Hey, what's going on? I like the show, Hardy and Wallach. It's a good show. I listen all the time.
Thank you.
But I got a problem with you saying they're going to draft a quarterback. You keep comparing guys to Mahomes. Mahomes is a generational talent. You're not going to find him in a draft anytime soon.
I just said this. I just said that's not the argument. The argument is you have to start with the quarterback and then build around it.
Let's read the ringer. The loser of the Super Bowl, hope. This is the worst Chiefs teams of the Mahomes era, and they just won the Super Bowl. Did I mention Marquez Valdez-Scantling was running backward in overtime? The Chiefs will likely get more receiving help, and the offense will improve simply because replacing Scanlon and Kadarius Toney will literally, and it's the same play when I was just making, with literally anyone else should be a huge improvement. The defense is the youngest in the league, will be significantly better. Mahomes is winning with his brain these days. Kyle Shanahan, the 49ers, Josh Allen and the Bills, Lamar Jackson, the Ravens, Justin Herbert and the Chargers, all these teams are in danger of being characters in the Mahomes story, just as Brady opponents were for the last 20 years. You're never going to have a team as complete as the 49ers. You're just not going to build one. You're just not going to build one. You need that quarterback.
The 49ers, just take a look at the rosters next to each other. The 49ers were not a little better, much better. If you play that game on paper, San Francisco wins that game. But because Kansas City had Mahomes, they're the champions again. That one guy made up for everything. That's what Brady used to do when he was younger, and Bill kept flipping the roster. You want a wide receiver? Sorry, we're going to get rid of him. You want David Givens and you want Deion Branch? Sorry, we're going to trade Deion, and Givens is going to leave in free agency. Good luck. Okay. And he goes out and makes the AFC Championship game next year with Riche Caldwell. That's what Mahomes is tracking to be able to do.
You need to get a quarterback. You need to at least take the opportunity to get a guy, to get the guy. All right. Because, again, you can draft Marvin Harrison 3 times, and it's not going to do you any good unless you have the quarterback. You're just not going to get over that hump. It's just not going to happen. All right. When we come back, Travis Kelce. He is a big story, and he did a lot of stupid stuff, and we will have that for you in just a moment.